Hello, good morning, everybody. My name is Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast. Excited to bring to you yet again another amazing episode with an amazing guest. Let me introduce him right away. This is Geo Corvera, who is a Hollywood stuntman, actor, and martial artist with over 40 years in the fight game and more than 25 years performing stunts on the big screen. Born in El Salvador and raised in the U.S., he carved his path from tournament champion to trusted action performer in film and television. Throughout his career, Geo has worked alongside some of the industry's biggest names, bringing authenticity and intensity to every scene. With a unique blend of power, passion, and precision, he continues to inspire both on the screen and off as a true martial artist and a storyteller. Geo, so happy to have you today.
Hey, what's happening? Thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, very excited. Sorry to those of you. I know, man, you sent out a ton of invites, and there are a bunch of people that were super excited to watch us last Thursday. And of course, what happens? I get sick, so we had to reschedule. But thank you for coming on today and making time. I hope that some of your friends and family will get a chance to watch this, whether they're watching here live or they'll get to watch the replay on YouTube later. And by the way, make sure you guys go to YouTube and subscribe to Master Motivation Podcast. So Geo, tell me what's been going on this morning? What's been going on this past week? What's going on in life?
Well, this morning, just running around doing errands, helping, my dad just retired. So I've been helping him, do some stuff or whatever. So that's why actually I was running late today.
That's all good.
But otherwise, mostly just training, man. Work's been a little slow this year, like with the movie stuff. So I started doing more personal training and then just training with friends and stuff. So that's what's been keeping me busy.
Right on. Very cool. I can't wait to get into talking, all things martial arts and stunts. I always watch everybody's face on the opening video. I bet you were surprised to know that I did a little pro wrestling, being that you're a stuntman too.
Actually, huh? I saw that because I saw the video. I'm like, oh shit, that's crazy. That's cool. I think it seems like you do it all.
Yeah, gosh, man. Well, I grew up, I don't know about you, but I grew up in the 80s, and professional wrestling was like, that was it for me, man. Every Saturday morning.
Yeah.
I grew up in the Hulk Hogan, Randy Macho Man Savage era, Ultimate Warrior. As a matter of fact, while I was down sick, I went back and watched some of the A&E biographies on all the wrestlers. So I was getting my fix of watching some wrestling again. But we can talk a little bit more. We can talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. But you've been in the fight game for 40 years. Take us back to when your passion for martial arts first began.
So, like you said earlier, I was born in El Salvador, and I came to the U.S. when I was 7 years old, to the Virginia, D.C. area. I was 7 years old. I saw Bruce Lee in Ninja Turtles, and I was always, kicking everything around the house. So my dad put me in martial arts. I started going to Junri karate in Virginia. And like I said, when I saw Bruce Lee and Ninja Turtles, I was like, that's what I want to do when I grow up, be Bruce Lee or a Ninja Turtle, Growing up in the DMV area, the whole movie stuff is not really big. So a friend of mine, Arnold Chan, who's also, in the movie business, convinced me to move to LA. And then I felt a little more comfortable, knowing somebody. But I grew up, competing in the tournaments I started competing when I was 9 years old, and then just traveled throughout the U.S. competing. And I was rated in the top 10 for everything, weapons, forms, fighting in NASCAR and NBL circuit. I loved it, man. I just love the whole martial arts stuff. And me being small, it gave me also a lot of confidence to play other sports too. I wrestled and played football growing up also. So, that's where it all started,
So Junri Institute. So I believe we were connected. Francis Pineda. Is that right?
Yeah. Yes.
So Taekwondo is your background, and you competed. You said the NASCA and the NBL.
NBL, yes.
Yeah. Wow. Is NBL still around? I know.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I think they went out of business. Yeah.
Well, I know in the 90s, early 2000s, even NBL was like that was really big. NASCA was always at the top. The U.S. Open being kind of the pinnacle for a lot of people. You brought up Arnold Chan. Would love to have him on the show, as a matter of
Oh yeah,
fact.
he would love to.
So
That guy stays busy. I just saw him actually last week. He's in New Jersey right now training a fighter. You know, he trains a lot of like UFC fighters and stuff. So he's always staying busy when he's not doing the movie stuff. So yeah, you should get him
yeah,
in if you can.
yeah. Well, hopefully with your referral, maybe we will. But hey, we
Yeah,
got
I'll let him
Dana
know.
Dana Abbott. He says weapons. Did someone say weapons? If you know Dana Abbott, you know he knows weapons.
Yeah.
Good to see you, Dana. Thanks for tuning in. If you got any questions for Geo, make sure to follow us in the conversation.
Hmm.
So yeah, competing back in NASCA, NBL, you did it all. You did forms, you did sparring, you did weapons.
Yeah.
What was your favorite? What did you like competing in the most?
At the time, I'll be honest, when I was smaller, I liked the forms. I hated the sparring, but my dad would make me do it. But I'll be honest, I was
Good
pretty
job,
good. I
Dad.
was always placing the top three for all of them. I mean, I was always taking three trophies home every tournament. I'll be honest, there was one year, I'm not kidding, we hit every single weekend. There was a tournament.
Yeah.
So 52 tournaments in one year, one time. So imagine how many trophies I had growing up. And then, of course, as I got older, I started getting more into the sparring. So I still did like forms and weapons, but I didn't really put, I'll be honest, too much training into it. I just wanted to fight, you know. That became one
Yeah.
of my favorite things. Yeah.
But I mean, if you're going to the tournaments every weekend, I mean, number one, that's a lot of travel, a lot of
Yeah.
expenses,
Oh, yeah.
but a lot of training and commitment and discipline, and at a young age, right?
Yes.
How did you balance other activities? Did you play other sports? Did you do other
Mhm.
things? School, like how'd you keep your grades up if you're traveling all the time? How
Yeah,
talk
I'll
about
be
that.
honest. It was a lot. I remember crying a lot because it was too much. Um, there was a lot of times I wanted to quit. Because especially I remember one time I was playing football and training karate. So in football, we would have two a days. We go in the
Hmm.
morning for like 2 hours, later in the afternoon 2 hours, and then I would hit karate later on in the evening. So I was doing 6, 7 hour workouts a day. I remember one
Wow.
summer. So yeah, I was like, yeah, yeah. Basically lived at the karate school, man. I'll go straight from school straight to karate, doing my homework, while stretching out kind of thing, and then jump into classes and everything. But yeah, it was a crazy, it's a lifestyle that I'll be honest, when I got into a teenage years, I loved it. But when you're a teenager, you want to hang out with your friends, you want to
Hmm.
go hang out at the mall, things like that or whatever. So me and my dad, we would bump heads because he's like, dude, you got a tournament coming up, you got to get ready. I'm like, yeah, but I want to see my friends, you know. So it was a bit challenging, but yeah, at the same time, I did love it.
And so you played football. Did you play any other sports?
Wrestling. I wrestled in high school for 4 years. Yeah, I went to Mount Vernon High School, so I wrestled for them. Yeah, I just love stuff like that, man. And plus, like I said earlier, being small, martial arts gave me that confidence to because I'm not gonna lie, I was in the beginning, I was scared to play football. Getting hit,
Hmm.
wrestling. Everyone was bigger than me, but as martial arts, man, gave me the confidence, and that's one thing that I always brought into everything that I did, even stunts. The first time as a martial artist gymnast, I had never done car hits, fire burns, stair falls, getting blown off of buildings, things like that. So I feel that the martial art gave me that confidence, to what we can do this, like you got to stay positive, and yeah, we can do it, and yeah, man, I got to do all those things, and again, I'd say because of martial arts.
Yeah,
Yeah,
martial arts. It's amazing the doors that martial arts can open. As for you, it not only opened up having the confidence to play sports in school, but you went on to do stunts in your career. That confidence sometimes I think is so underlooked sometimes, and how quickly it grows. I mean, we talk about it all the time that martial arts builds confidence, but I mean, it just really changes how you carry yourself, and it's
yeah,
funny because the one thing that I bet like everybody, friends, family, whatever, or people that meet you and know you're a martial artist, know you're a black belt. They're like, well, yeah,
Mhm.
have you ever had to use it? And it's like, well, yeah,
Everyone, right?
I literally use it every day because I'm a
Mhm.
more confident person. And they,
Yeah.
well, have you ever had to like, defend yourself?
Defend yourself.
Well,
Yeah.
no, not really, because I had the confidence that nobody, I wasn't an easy victim. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, there's so much about confidence. But I'm glad you brought up, football, wrestling, two of my favorite high school sports. My son played both. Wrestling, oh, let me tell you. I mean, well, I don't need to tell you because if you wrestled, that is the hardest sport I
Oh,
think on the planet. And
yeah.
then now we're training Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I mean, when you work
Oh,
into wrestling
nice.
with the
Yeah.
the BJJ, like, oh, I'm 51 now. I wish I would have started when I was 21,
Right.
but oh well, here I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what a great sport. Wrestling, man, wrestling brought out a side in my son in his martial arts training that I'm so grateful to his coaches for the work ethic,
Mhm.
for the drive, for the commitment. Because I mean, like, that's just one of those sports where it's gonna suck and you have to choose to go back every single
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
And a
Yeah.
lot
Totally.
of kids, quit because they just don't, it sucks. They just don't want to go back and do it.
Yeah. But I think again, bringing back, the martial arts, at least for me, because that's what I did. Because I didn't wrestle till I was in high school, and like I said, I started martial arts at a younger age. Um, our coaches, I was trained by Olympic gold medalist Arlene Limas, Taekwondo world champion in forms, Elsa Cordero, Robert Chung, all these guys. They used to compete, and the training. I'm not gonna lie. Like I said, we're kids. They're having us run 5 miles every day. Sparring for 2 hours straight. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of us, are crying, but we're still doing it. But again, it toughened me up to when I did go to wrestling, in high school. Yeah, the training was hard. Like I said, same thing. We used to do 2 days, in the winter and stuff. And it's like 3, 4 hour training each session. But yeah, man, again, I just give props to the martial arts because that's what, even if I was tired or it was challenging for me, I had already been there because I had trained hard with the martial arts stuff, you
Right.
know?
The
Yeah.
mindset just carries you through.
Yeah.
Well,
And real
go ahead.
quick, and earlier you said, with the building the confidence. Same thing, man. I feel, I've never been in a fight before. I take that back. One time in junior high, but the majority of the time, a lot of people, they just, I never got picked on. And I was small. I would see other bigger kids in school, getting picked on. But because of the confidence, sometimes people say, the way you carry yourself, right? The way you walk, your attitude and everything. So yeah, man, I never got picked on and everything. So same thing, it all comes from martial arts.
No,
Hmm.
absolutely. Now, growing up in El Salvador and then the U.S., how did your background shape who you are as a martial artist and a performer? Tell me more about moving here. I mean, you were young, right? 7 years old. But
Yeah.
but what do you remember living in El Salvador, and
That's
did
what I was gonna
that
say.
play a
I'll be
role in
honest,
your?
I don't really remember too much. Everything is like a blur, like a dream, because
Mm-hmm.
like I said, I was 7 years old. Definitely, um, I don't come from money. El Salvador has changed so much now, but almost like it was like a thorough country the way that I grew up. And so then coming to the U.S. I just feel like it gave me that humbleness, coming from the way that I was raised, or growing up in El Salvador, or the little time that I grew up there, you know. Um, just having respect, yeah, just being humble and having respect for people, the elders and stuff, my coaches, things like that, people that were helping me out.
Yeah, and I was going to ask, even though you were seven, though, you moved here. Did you move with both parents?
Yes, yeah, and
And
sisters,
what
yeah.
and the culture in the household growing up, just like you said, that level of respect. But what were some of the things in your culture that you grew up with that again may have contributed to the type of person you are?
Well, I'll be honest. I feel like, oh, I don't know about now, but like Latino men, with that we have like this whole macho thing, especially with our boys. You got to be tough. So I'll be honest, my dad was hard on me, and don't forget, this is like 1985. I started doing martial arts,
Mm-hmm.
and they were allowed to hit you, if you acted up in class and things like that. And my parents would tell my coaches, if he acts up, yeah, go ahead, grab a stick, whack him across the head or something if he's not listening. So, but like I said, because my parents, already, I feel like I was a good kid, good listener, show respect, yeah, I was pretty, because of my parents, the way I was raised, I was a pretty good kid.
Could you imagine if martial arts instructors did now what they did then? Not even
No,
close.
no,
Not
not
even
even
close,
close.
right?
Yeah.
Like having a shinai, like walking around with a shinai in their hand. If your stance wasn't low, and you get a
Hmm.
little love
Yeah.
tap, right?
Hmm.
Yeah, I
Dude,
don't
trust
think
me,
that
I
would
got
fly.
hit. I remember the bamboo swords, the bamboo
Yeah,
sticks. Oh my
yeah,
god.
absolutely. Yep, yep. That
You
would
know?
not fly these
Oh,
days
no
at
way.
all. Our
But
quit
I
rate
don't
would
know.
go.
Everyone got different opinions on things, right? Like sometimes, going back to wrestling real quick. I had we had like four coaches, but I remember two of them, our main coaches. One was really nice, and one was mean. Okay, when our nice coach would teach, like we acted up a little bit, and we listened and this and that, but we played around a lot, right? But when our other coach, the one who didn't play around, dude, you were like, you did
Hmm.
not make a sound when you're whatever training, you were hardcore, but some people we just learn differently. Maybe teaching somebody, like whipping them, or like I said, with a bamboo stick, they might learn or they might quit.
Yeah.
You never know. So yeah, we're all different when it comes to learning.
No, 100%. And I think that, unfortunately, back in the day, we probably lost a lot of people. And I say we because I know that, I started out teaching the same way that I was taught. It's kind of like you raise your kids the way that your parents raised you in the beginning
Yeah,
until you learn your own way and kind of mold that. But there were a lot of students that I have lost because of that mindset, and those are probably the kids that needed it the most, which is kind of sad, right?
that's true.
So
Yeah,
there was almost a mindset of weeding out the weak, but the weak were the ones that needed it
they need
more.
it. That's true.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
yeah, no, I get it. I always just kind of joke because when you talk to martial artists from the well, and I came from the 80s, and there's going to be people that talk about the 60s and 70s that were different.
right.
But
Definitely.
yeah, it's just kind of I think it's funny just to cut up about that a little bit.
Yeah.
Let's talk about your career in stunts and acting. I think that that's an area that people will really be eager to learn more about. You worked on some of the biggest films and TV shows. What are some of the movies, and if you can mention, what are some of the projects that you've worked on that you're really proud of?
Oh man, so many. When I get asked this question, I start thinking, oh, which ones? Um, each project, that I've been in, almost like has his own story, but there's like I would say about like two that really stand out for me. Even though I loved all of them, I got to travel to Europe, South America, you name it, to work on these projects with very talented actors, and other, of course, stunt performers. I would have to say the first one is the Rundown, because that was my first big feature, and we're talking about wrestling. I grew up watching The
Oh,
Rock. He was
here we
my
go. Here we
favorite.
go.
I was always trying to practice doing my eyebrow. I can't do the eyebrow thing.
I can't either.
I can't do it. But he was one of my favorites. So, real quick, I just moved to LA. I was doing background work, extra work, and I was maybe doing it once or twice a week. And then we would train, and it's still around. It's called LA Valley College. We used to pay our $5 every Tuesday and Friday, and break dancers, gymnasts, martial artists will all meet up. And if somebody was like hey, they're looking for little guys that could do martial arts and gymnastics. You should go to this audition. So when I went, it was like, I don't know, 70, 80 little guys that could do martial arts and gymnastics. And they were only going to pick like five out of like I said, I don't know, 70, 80 guys. I don't know. It was a lot of people, you know? And I was one of the guys that got picked. And so if you see the movie, The Rundown, the one scene in the jungle scene with all the little guys fighting the rock, I was one of them, you know? So besides being my first project, big project, and actually we ended up winning a couple of awards for best fight scene from that movie at that time. Working with The Rock because I was working on that movie for about 2 months, and like I said earlier, he was one of my favorites growing up watching wrestling. So I have to say that's one of my first ones, and then of course Agents of Shields was one of my first. I would say I got my little 15 minutes of fame because I played one of the lead characters. You know, my strength was like I was really strong, so I get to do a fight scene with Ming, one of the main characters on the show, and it was just fun being part of it. I ended up getting a trading card from it out of it, you know, things like that or whatever. So I would say that being my second one, just due to the experience that year of a lot of interviews and things like that. Like I said, I have my little 15 minutes of fame, so that was fun. Yeah, so I would have to
Nice.
say those two stand out. Out of they're all been great though, man. Like I love. I've been lucky to and blessed to be part of big projects, like you said.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, we're gonna get back to talking about some of this stuff in just a second, but I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, Raptor Extreme Karate. Let's take a look. All right, guys, that was Raptor Extreme Karate. Kevin Kowalczyk, one of my really great friends. If you guys have any questions about that program and bringing it into your school, let me know. I'll help hook you up. But I'm Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast, here with Geo Corvera, and we talked about his background, his journey, moving from El Salvador at 7 years old, moving here to the States, and pursuing martial arts, competing in NASCA, the NBL circuits. And then we started talking about stunts. And of course, we started talking about The Rock. And I'm going
Right.
to, I got to mark out for just a second here. You worked with him for like 2 months. I've heard everything about him on both sides of the fence. What was your experience working with him?
Oh man, I loved it. And actually, I got to work with him a second time on the other movie called G.I. Joe. He was on that project too. So I'll be honest, man, it was fun. I mean, however you see him like an interview, sometimes always smiling, good energy, positive. That's the Rock that I work with, and I was seeing him every day because we rehearsed the first month, seriously, Monday through Friday, like 9 to 5 kind of thing. So I was seeing him every day, and then of course when we started filming the second month, and yeah, he was always looking out. I got to tell a quick story. So like I said, we did the jungle scene. And I was one of the guys, me and Ernie Reyes Jr., we all both jumped, from the tree and the Rock's laying on the floor. We picked him up and throw him up against the tree and he goes tumbling down. Well, there was like a big tree branch that they were going to use to hit the two guys swinging down and for us to fall. And they forgot to switch it to a fake one. So it was a real branch. So for some reason, when we were coming down, I was a little bit ahead of the other guy, and then I got hit first, dude made me do like a front flip out of it, knocked the wind out of me, and it was cool because the Rock stepped in, and he had my back, and he kind of like went off on people, and he was checking on me, Geo, are you all right, whatever. So I don't know, I thought that was cool of him, to kind of jump in there and check if I was okay, and you know
Mhm.
letting everyone know, like, hey guys, we can't be doing this. You got to pay attention. We got to switch the props. All these different things. So I don't know. Yeah, he was just cool, man. I loved it. I loved him. He was
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, and
Yeah.
and you already brought up Ernie Reyes Jr.,
Oh yeah.
someone I have watched for,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's interesting because we're pretty close in age actually, but like I grew up watching him
Yeah. Me
and
too.
all the
Yeah.
different shows, and and
Yeah.
and then of course, the world famous team, West
Oh
Coast Gamma
yeah.
team. Like, oh my gosh, like every time I had a chance to watch them, I was
Right.
so
Me too.
impressed and
That's
so
right.
amazed. You
They were
also brought
awesome.
up
Yeah.
Agents of Shield, and if I remember correctly, a bunch of the sideswipe guys. That's how I was introduced to extreme martial arts back in the day. Mike Chat introduced me to Matt Mullins and Chris
Oh yeah.
Brewster and
Yeah.
Craig Henningsen.
Oh
So
yeah.
I think that these guys are all involved in some of the projects. Super talented guys, but again,
Yes.
came up in the martial arts industry, came up competing on the circuit, and it seems like that's kind of the trend now too. I have a
Hmm.
young student. He's I think he's 14 now. And you talked about LA Valley College is where everybody
Yeah.
used to train back in the day, and then
Yeah.
Jam is another place that a
Yeah.
lot of
Yeah.
people like to train, and he likes to go out and train at Jam and meet the guys, and he's starting to go to some stunt camps, and he's like, "Hey, Master Flame, I'm going to a stunt camp," and I was like, "Wow, okay, cool, that's
Yeah.
awesome." But it seems
Yeah.
like a lot of the competitors are moving in that direction. Caitlin Deschelle, another one
Oh yeah.
who has
Kaylin.
had a
Yeah.
lot of success in the movie and stunt industry. So, is that something that you envisioned early on, and what you wanted to get out of the competition, or did it just kind of help, kind of walk you through that path?
Well, like I said earlier, from a young age, I always wanted to be on TV. I just didn't know how. And of course, because like I said, watching Bruce Lee and Ninja Turtles, I definitely wanted to do martial arts in whatever movies I was doing. I wanted to fight. I'll be honest, I didn't know about stunts. I thought everyone did their own stunts, so like I said, I wanted to fight and do my own stunts. And then of course when I moved to LA and I started hearing people like, oh yeah, you should do stunts, you should do stunts. I'm like, what's that? Or what, and then of course and people taught me. But I feel like, coming from martial arts, like you name all these guys, and actually Matt Mullins was the fight choreographer for Agents of Shields,
Hmm.
and so yeah, all those guys very talented. By the way, they work a lot. They've come a long way. I feel, I'm not saying that it's easy, to go from as a martial artist to into stunts, but it does help a lot. I mean, either that or opening up, your own gyms, personal training. Um, I don't know what else, that you can use it from. They can still punch and kick, you know.
Hmm.
So I think, yeah, a lot of people tend. I'll be honest. I mean, you named like 5 or 6 people just there, but from the era that I grew up in, I mean, there's like at least 30 or 40 of us I can name right now. That we grew up from martial arts, and now, you know, second unit directors, stunt coordinators, fight choreographers, stunt doubles, you name it, and yeah, a lot of us
Hmm.
we went into that route.
Yeah, very
Hmm.
cool, very cool. What's you talked about this the stunt with the rock and the rundown, but what's the riskiest or most challenging stunt that you've ever performed?
Yeah. So I'll be
And how
honest.
did you prepare for it, by the way?
Yeah. So I'll be honest. Like I said, I grew up doing martial arts and gymnastics. So that's all I was thinking I was gonna do when it came to stunts and working on movies. And I remember getting called for the first time to do a car hit. You know, and so I'm trying to like picture that in my head. A car hits you, like what, And then so I never done it. So when the coordinator asked me, "Hey, you're a good size," I was doubling a kid, like a 12-year-old kid, and he said, "I need you to double this kid, and he's running the street, and he gets hit by a car or something, right?" And I said, "I'll be honest, sir, I never done that. So you might want to go with somebody else, because." But I said, one thing, in stunts, you never want to cut yourself out, meaning don't say you can't do something when you never even tried it, you know? So that was one of my things, that I let them know that I never done it, but I would definitely let them know that I'm a fast learner. So I would tell them, I said, I never done it. So if you want to go with somebody else that's more experienced in that, go ahead. But I said, if you teach me, I can do it. I'll learn it. And I got lucky, man, with everything else after that. I did the same, first time doing a fire burn, first time doing a 30-foot high fall, being on wires, getting thrown stairs. Everyone was usually pretty cool. That's one thing that I was teaching stunt classes before when I was in LA. And I would tell people, don't lie, let them know. But at the same time, don't cut yourself out, let them know that you can do the job. But I'll be honest, yeah, car hit was my first big stunt gag that I did. I was scared, but they taught me how to do it. And, there's in cameras, a lot of people already probably know this. Hopefully I'm not messing it up, but, we call it cheating, the way we put the camera in certain angles and, whatever. So, it's still, you're getting hit by a car and you're flying in the air, but we try to do it as safe as we can, and the way they taught it to me, So, yeah, I would say the doing a car hits, all of them, but yeah.
So walk me through this. A car is driving straight at you, and you know it's going to hit you, and you're just going to take it. How? Like,
Yeah.
obviously,
It's definitely
I'm
a
sure,
timing thing.
right? And I'm sure
Yeah.
that you're padded up a little bit. Were there any
Yeah.
like wires or any other safety precautions in
Yeah.
place for this?
So for me, and so I'll break it down real quick. So, first of all, they brought me in like 2-3 hours before crew call, before everyone shows up. So it was only like four of us on set, right? And like I said, I was doubling the kid. He's actually being chased. He escaped from an asylum, kind of hospital. So he's running. I'm wearing a hoodie. So as I'm running, I'm kind of like looking over my shoulder a little bit. You can't really see because, like I said, I'm wearing a hoodie. So when I kind of see the car, kind of hear the engine behind me, I jump and sit on the hood of the car. So the driver and punches the gas, and that's what makes me go over the windshield over thing and stuff. But I'll be honest. So they say, check it out. Stand right here, watch the car. He's gonna be going like 15 miles an hour, right? And that's the speed he's gonna hit you at. You don't think about it, but even 15 miles an hour look fast. So my heart is just like, oh shit.
Yeah,
Are you sure that was 15? It looked like 40 or something, you know? So we do the first one. I jumped early. I landed on the bumper, not the hood. Okay. On the bumper. So it started dragging my feet under. So the guy, luckily, he hit the brakes, nothing happened. So they're like, you jump too early, make sure you jump high so you can land on the hood, blah, blah. Second take, we did it. Boom, threw me over because of martial arts and gymnastics, especially gymnastics. I had the air awareness. So I'm not going to lie. As I'm spinning in the air, I swear to God, it seemed like slow motion.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm going over the windshield, going off the side of the car. I see the ground. I was able to break my fall. And yeah, you're right. I was padded up also, but it didn't hurt at all. I mean, yeah, it was really safe. You wouldn't think
Nice.
about it, but yeah.
Nice. Going back to what you said before about they ask you to do a stunt, don't lie. It reminded me of a story in pro wrestling, and actually it's in that opening clip. It was one of the matches in that opening clip. I was very new to the business, very new, like just a few matches under my belt. And so this guy says, "Hey, here's my finisher. This is what I do. You could either just go flat or you could roll out." And I was like, "Okay, sure, whatever." Um, I had never taken it before. I had never done this move before, and here I go. I'm doing it live. Like in pro wrestling, you don't. There's no takes. Like it's just
Yeah.
go. And
Oh, yeah.
so we get to the point where he's going to do the move, and he hits a spot, and I just hit the ground, and I thought that I was going to roll through, but I couldn't roll through, and I ended up hitting and dislocating my shoulder
Oh,
in the
shoot.
middle of the
Yeah.
match. And what sucks
Yeah.
again, it's live, so can't stop. I still, because I was
No.
supposed to win the match, so I had to like get up and still like hit a super kick, and then pin him. Dude. So don't lie if you've never taken a move.
Right.
Don't lie.
Yeah.
Just say, I've never done this before, and maybe
Yeah,
we
just be
walk through
honest.
it one
Yeah.
time.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you end up in the hospital with a dislocated shoulder, and your wife
That's what I
is
was gonna say. It's
super
your body,
pissed. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I,
That's
I
why
was more afraid. I was more afraid of my wife being mad about it than I was about how bad it hurt, just so you know.
that's funny. Yeah. And I mean, like I said earlier, it's your body, man. And imagine like you say that you can do something, you end up breaking a leg or an arm. Now you're out, let's say 6 months or whatever it is, and it's not worth it, you
That's right. You're
know?
not getting
So
paid.
you're not, yeah, you're missing out on work. I mean, all these different things. So, because I've seen it, I'll be honest, I've seen people lie about stuff and they did get hurt or ended up getting somebody else hurt, you
Right.
know?
Right.
So, yeah, it's not cool. I mean, I get it. You know, we want to be in every movie and do every stunt, and the adrenaline is kicking, and so you want to try it, whatever. But yeah, you got to be smart about it. You know.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, tell me, who are some of the most inspiring people that you've had the chance to work with in Hollywood, and what did you learn from them?
Yeah. So like again, I'll be honest, I'm gonna bring back the Rock, you know, and I'm not being biased just because he was one of my favorites from when I was a little kid. He's one of the ones that first of all I got to work with the most. Like I said, I was on that project for 2 months, and I got to see him every day. I mean, that guy doesn't stop. From the minute that he gets to set, we're rehearsing, they want to give him a break or even like a lunch break. And nah, let's do it again. Can we go over it again? And this and that or whatever. So watching, besides, his personality of being a nice guy and real cool, that I already like just the way that he works, you know? And I don't know, it just pump me up that I want to do that stuff. Even if you're tired, let's keep going. Let's do this. Because one thing actually I remember, he said something like, of course, he's gotten bigger. The rundown was like 2003, by the way.
Right.
Okay, so it's a long time. He's gotten bigger, whatever, right? So he was already working out. One thing that I remember, he said somebody asked him, how come he doesn't have a personal trainer? Somebody like to train him or whatever, right? He said, the day that I have somebody to train me is the day that I don't love it anymore,
Hmm.
because that means somebody has to push you to do something, right? Okay, whatever
Right.
it might be. So it hit me, man, about like, dude, trust me, I don't want to work out every day, this and that, whatever. But I think when you're passionate about something, you love about something, that's your motivation to get
Yeah.
up at 5 in the morning or whatever it is, or you're sore but you still hit the gym, or doing something over and over and over because you love it. So that always stuck in my head.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, you don't have to tell me twice that The
Yeah,
Rock
so
has always
yeah,
been someone that has inspired. I've never met him, never worked with him.
yeah.
Well, I take that back. I was in Gold's Gym in Simi Valley, and
Oh,
I'm on the elliptical, and he jumps on the elliptical right next to me, right?
oh,
And
true,
I
yeah.
mean, I'm telling you, it took everything in me. And back then, I had a flip phone. Terrible.
Oh, yeah.
If I had an iPhone, I'd be taking video.
Take the
But back
videos,
then,
yeah.
it was like you couldn't get a picture, and you didn't want to be the geek. You didn't.
Right,
Hey,
yeah.
and but he just kind of looks over. He's like, "Hey, man, how's it going?" And then he goes downstairs and he does a little workout. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to go downstairs now because he's gonna think I'm following him.
Yeah.
But yeah, to watch him and take it for what it's worth. What you see on social media and what you see on TV. What he does, I think, is inspiring. His work ethic is
Mhm.
inspiring.
Yes.
Not sure what his family life is really like. That's a different story. But
Mhm.
man, that guy can grind. So
Yeah.
good for him, and
Yeah.
he's always been an inspiration. Let's talk more about some martial arts. As martial artists, we've talked about a lot of different lessons, but what do you think? What are the lessons that carry over most into your career, and maybe even more in your personal life?
Yeah. Like I said, man, it has given me confidence, just the work ethic, um, even if I didn't want to do something, I mean, because I've been put in that spot so many times with growing up as a martial artist. Like if your coach has told you, "Oh, yeah, you got to go run 5 miles," right? You're like, "Oh man, I don't want to run this," but I ended up doing it anyways, right? So in life, I've had certain things that I didn't want to do, you know, but I always push through because I feel that's what I got from the whole martial arts, just pushing through, um, which I'm giving you these quotes or whatever. It made me think Mike Tyson, once said about doing something that you hate to do, but you do it like you love it.
Mm-hmm.
So things like that, I feel that martial arts, gave me, and I was just able to use in a lot of stuff in my life. It could have been like in relationships, and then other things, personal that let's say I didn't think I could do, or was struggling with. I mean, you name it. So it just helped me to give that push, even if I was
Mm-hmm.
tired or didn't feel like doing it, or didn't think that I could do it. So yeah,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
yeah, I've used it in a lot of personal stuff.
And how different is the discipline of competing versus performing for the camera, or is there a difference?
I'll be honest, man. At least for me, which is kind of funny. I've had this conversation lately with a lot of friends of mine. Uh, I love the hard work, man. I'm not gonna lie. I'm old school. Like sometimes people talk about, smart training, or hard training, or things like that, or whatever. Um, if if I don't leave that gym drenched and breathing hard, I didn't do nothing.
Mm-hmm.
It was a waste of whatever. I usually go to the gym for like 2 hours, depending who I'm training with. Some of my friends will train 3, 4 hours straight, things like that, or whatever. So, um, I bring that into stunts, you know, just doing things over and over. Like when I was competing, I couldn't tell you how many times I did my form,
Yeah.
over hours and hours and hours. And we would play games like you tied the second time, you got to do it again. You tied the third time, you got to do it again. And things like just to keep, oh shoot, I gotta stay strong here. I gotta hit all my moves, all my tricks, all this and that, or whatever. Same thing with stunts, man. My headers, side falls, back falls, everything. I train them, because so many times, just because you never know how many times you have to do it on set. So you got to be ready. Might be twice, it might be 30 times. So, yeah, I brought everything that I've done with martial arts training into stunts.
I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Hey, we're gonna take another quick break just to shout out one of our sponsors. I'll be right back. This is Connected Leaders Academy.
Hi, my name is Jose Escobar, and I'm the founder and CEO of the Connected Leaders Academy. We're a growing tribe, a community of entrepreneurs all over the world, globally, all across the country, high performers, titans of industry. If you're an entrepreneur and you're looking to grow personally and professionally, scale your influence, develop your skill sets, move the needle in your business, more clients, more money, more profit, the bottom line, and of course, grow your circle and your network like never before, this is where you want to be. Join the Connected Leaders Academy today. We are scaling massively. We want to welcome you in. Check me out on Instagram and on Facebook, the @ JAESCO25. We look forward to having you join us. Take care.
All right, guys, we're back. That was the Connected Leaders Academy. Let me know once again if you'd like some more information to learn to meet Jose Escobar or get involved in that program. My name is Jason Flame, host of the Master Motivation Podcast, here with Geo Corvera. Man, we talked a lot
Right.
about the martial arts. We've talked about stunts, talked about moving here at 7 years old from El Salvador. Guys, if you've missed any of this interview, go back, watch it from the beginning. Do us a favor, share the video, and go to YouTube and subscribe to Master Motivation Podcast. We're in the home stretch here. We're going to talk a little bit more about some personal insights and your legacy. After 25 years in stunts, how do you stay sharp, both physically, mentally, and in such a demanding profession?
Yeah. Like I said earlier, I love what I do, man. I want to be considered, one of the good ones in our business when it comes to stunts, film fighting, just because of my martial arts background. So that's like my motivation every day. I'm not gonna lie. I wake up at 5 in the morning. I do my 3 to 4 miles run every morning. Hit the gym, lift weights, meet with friends for the boxing, kickboxing workouts, and stunt training. I mean, it's my life, is my job. I see it like a 9 to 5, and sometimes even on the weekends. But at least for me, like I said earlier, I love the hard work, and I'm just a big believer. You put in the time, and then you'll get the results. So yeah, man, that's my motivation. I just stay training. So.
What advice would you give to young martial artists or aspiring stunt performers who dream of following in your footsteps?
Yeah, you gotta put in the time, and you love it. You can't take breaks. You gotta put in the time, hard work. I mean, you got to be ready for the people that are going to hate on you or say no to you. You can't take it personal. You can never think, oh, I'm not good enough, this and that. You just got to believe in yourself. Put in the work, believe in yourself. Do the networking. You got to do the the work, and trust me, in time, I'm a big believer you'll get a chance to.
Yeah, you talk about believe in yourself. When we've talked so much about how martial arts is what brings out that confidence, but at the same time, it's a pretty competitive industry, right? And it's easy to maybe say I'm not good enough, or they're better than me. They're always getting the jobs. But you just got to keep battling through, and it's the consistency and the keep coming back and the keeping with the routine, no days off, that constant grind. How do you keep up with your recovery, sleep, eating, not getting sick? Talk about some of that too.
Yeah. So actually, it's funny. I just had a conversation with my dad this morning. I had to take him to the doctor to for a checkup. Man, I've been blessed, man. Because what happened was, so we got to the doctors, and they told him he's got to get a flu shot. And they asked me if I wanted to get one or whatever, and I'm like, nope. You know, I'll be honest, man. Knock on wood. I rarely get sick. Okay, I
Yeah.
get sick once every 2 or 3 years. So I don't know. We're talking about training hard and this and that, but yeah, your the way you eat, the way, just the way that you live, sleep, all that matters. Okay, you're not getting enough sleep is going to affect on how you perform. How you train, how you're going to be the next day. Not having the right foods, the vitamins, things like that. Same thing. It's going to affect you, and you're not going to perform well. So it all goes together. The
Hmm.
training, the sleeping, the eating. It all goes together, and it just sucks somehow about getting sick. I have some friends that honestly they get sick like twice a month or something. I'm just like,
Mm.
whoa, dude, you need to eat
Yeah.
more vegetables and your fruits, or I don't know, But I've been lucky in that part that yeah, I don't really get sick. So, but yeah, try to stay on top about getting my 8 hours in, getting my proteins and veggies in, things like that. So.
Yeah, I would say the one thing that I get challenged with sometimes is sleep. And it's not
Mm,
just the amount of sleep, it's the quality of sleep.
mm,
And I think that also has a lot to do with, what's my water intake look like? What does my diet really look like?
yeah,
When am I eating last before bed? All these things, but recovery time on such a physically demanding job, is important, taking that
yeah.
time. So looking back on your journey, what do you hope people remember most about Geo Corvera, the martial artist, the stuntman, and the person? What do you want them to remember?
Yeah. So actually, already, and man, and I've in my life, I've never done anything to get credit for, or that's not my intentions, right? I just feel like I said earlier, I'm a nice guy. I love to help people for the longest time. I taught film fighting classes for 12 years, and when I was in LA, and the first we would say 6 years of it, I never charged anybody. It was all free, and I was training, I don't know, 30, 40 people, every week, for
Right.
free, sometimes they say, sometimes when you help people out, then, you know, um, you get that in return in different ways in life, like I said earlier, I don't live like that, I just do things because I love helping people, you know, and if I get repaid somehow by somebody, God or somebody, that's awesome. That's great. But people are already saying, like, dude, you're a really nice guy. You try to help everyone that you can. Real quick, I've gotten so many times people that have been in the business now, 10, 20 years, that they came to me and said, dude, when I first moved to LA, I didn't know anybody. I tried to, join, these stunt groups or training kind of stuff, and nobody would help me. Nobody would let me train with them. You were the first guy to help me. You were always like, oh yeah, come through, whatever. I mean, I couldn't tell you, James, Jason, how many times I've heard that story, or people tell me that I was the first person to help them, again, with stunts or stunt training, or was friends with them when they first moved out to LA. So yeah, a lot of people know me by that already. So, you know,
So there's your legacy, right? Giving back to people, introducing people, connecting people. You've got a great energy about you, so it's no
yeah,
surprise that you connect well with people right out of the gate. So,
yeah,
hey
I love
Gio,
life, man. I got to be happy. We are talking about sleeping earlier. If you're stressed out, a lot on your mind sometimes, that hits you. You're not getting good sleep because, whatever. You just got to enjoy life, man. I know there are little cliches and stuff, but, live life to the fullest. You got to enjoy every second of the day. Just be happy, man. I know bad things happen. Things don't go your way. You don't book that one job or whatever, something, problems, personal, whatever. Yeah, it sucks. That's life, but you can't let it dwell. I always tell people, yeah, cry about it for, whatever, 5 minutes, and then keep moving forward, bro. Because if you really think about it, come on, man, how many times you've been in situations like that? A relationship, lost a job, something financially. I mean, you name it, and then you bounce back.
right?
So
Abs-
that's how it
Absolutely.
is.
100%. One of the quotes you were talking about, loving life and living life. I always find it interesting, or confusing actually, when people say, you should do this because you only live once. And I'm thinking, and I really like that, looking at it the other way. You actually only die once. You get to live every day, right?
Yeah.
And I
Oh,
think
dude. Yeah.
man, just you don't know. You don't
Yeah.
know. So live every day. So
Yeah.
Gio, it's been an amazing opportunity just having a conversation with you today.
Yeah.
I'm
You
really
too,
grateful.
Jason.
Francis, thank you for hooking us up and getting
Yeah.
us on here today.
I'm gonna see
Is
him this
it
week, actually.
okay? Cool. Tell him I said
Yeah.
hi.
Okay.
Yeah. Is there anything that we haven't covered, haven't talked about? Anything you want to throw out to the audience right before we finish?
We covered a lot of stuff, man, and just just stay positive. Keep putting that work in, and love what you do.
Love what you do. I agree 100%. That old saying again, all these cliches. Love what you do and you never have to work a day in your life. I've been doing
Mhm.
martial arts since I was a young teenager, and I have never, ever, and I try to tell it to my team and even my own kids. I'm like, listen, you're not going to work. You get to go to the school. You get to go teach. Like, and I love what I do. I love the
Yeah.
podcast. I love teaching class. I love training
Yeah.
in the gym. If you love what you
It's a
do,
great
it
feeling.
doesn't have to be a job. It's a good life,
Yep.
man. Hey,
That's
Gio,
true.
thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Hang out for just a second if you have time. But
Yeah. Yeah.
guys,
Of course.
that's it for the Master Motivation Podcast today. We'll see you again. I'll be back this Thursday. Go back, subscribe on Master Motivation Podcast on YouTube. Check out some of the other videos. Check out the one with Francis Pineda. Check out some of the ones that are coming in the future. And I can't wait to see you guys soon. Make it a great day. Go enjoy it. Live and love life. Take care. Bye bye.
Amen.